she's hosting and producing a new podcast. I love this title. It's called Your Mama's Kitchen, Conversations from the Heart of the Home. Now, this weekly series explores how kitchen memories shape who we ultimately become. It features Michelle's candid conversations with big names like Kerry Washington, Matthew Broderick, DJ D Nice, and Chef Jose Andres. Now, in this clip from episode 1, nice way to start, former First Lady Michelle Obama reveals which homemade food tastes like home to her.
If I ask my mom to cook anything, there are a couple of things that taste like home. Her homemade cakes, because she used to bake us our birthday cakes each year. And
she did that even in the White House.
She tried to, but she felt like the ovens weren't right.
Oh.
And there's something different about a homemade cake. Like, we lived in the White House, pastry chefs, Susie, love her, still the best. But there's something about professional cakes that are too dense.
Mm-hmm.
They're too solid. They're too perfect.
First on CBS Mornings, Michele Norris joins us here live and in color. It's good to have you here.
It is great to be here.
I love that you started with Michelle Obama because she has written extensively. Many people know her work. But she talked about the kitchen table, and she painted such a description of the yellow table. That's where we played cards. That's where there were cigarette burns. That's where we did homework. That's where we had debates. And that's what a kitchen table is, isn't it?
It is.
They call it the heart of the home for a reason.
Everything happens in the kitchen.
Yes.
Everything happens in the kitchen. This winds up being a show about food,
yes,
but about so much more, because our loudest laughter is in the kitchen, but so too are our loudest debates and sometimes our loudest arguments. It's where bills stack up on the table.
So true.
Yes, that is so true.
It's where siblings snap towels at each other. You remember doing that?
Of course, but I love the idea of how this came about. Number one, I think it's such a unique idea. But you said you got it from doing mic checks. When I do mic checks, I go, Gale's mic, Gale's microphone, test, test, test. But you do something else, and that sparked this idea.
Well, I was on radio for many years on NPR, and I have a low voice, and so the mic check sometimes has to go a little bit longer so they can match someone else's voice level with mine. And the standard question is, what did you have for breakfast?
Yes.
So what did you have for breakfast?
Right. I have had coffee.
Okay, and that's the problem.
Right.
Yes.
People just say one thing, cereal, coffee, toast, nothing. And so I asked a series of different questions. Paper or plastic at the grocery store? Your first summer job? Tell me about your mama's kitchen. And that last question always took people to an interesting place. They opened up, they started to reveal things about themselves, and I always thought that would be a great podcast because everyone has a story.
But nobody thinks about this, though. That's what I find, honestly, that's why I find so interesting. And you know Michelle Obama very well. Did you learn something about her that you didn't know?
Well, that's what's amazing about asking that simple question.
Yes.
She's written 2 books. She has gone on tour to more than, 45 cities in the U.S. and overseas. And yet, we learned something new about her in this conversation that she's never talked about before because we enter a different door, the kitchen door. The kitchen.
So episode 1, you have Michelle Obama. I don't know how you followed that up. But then episode 2, you get Gale King in the building. And we have a clip, and Gale talks about one of her mother's holiday traditions. Let's listen to that.
Thanksgiving was a big deal because she did all the cooking, but, she did all the cooking always. She had a thing that we always each had to slap the turkey before it went in the oven.
Wait, what?
Yes, exactly right.
Wait, was this...
Slap the turkey.
Was this superstition? Was it...
Because my mom said, I think that was just her way of engaging us. She said that it made the turkey more tender. And so we would all have to come in the kitchen, line up, and do a...
On a raw turkey?
Yeah, he was all basted and all that good stuff, but we'd all slap it, and she said that would make it more tender.
I hadn't thought about that in a million years. And when she first asked me, guys, I said, I really don't have any mama kitchen table stories. But what you realize is that everybody does, even though we're not thinking about it.
Yeah. And you're going to start a new tradition. People are going to be slapping their turkey
to make it tender.
What surprised you about Gale that you learned in the way that you were talking about Michelle Obama?
Well, I didn't know that you spent part of your childhood in Turkey.
In Turkey, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I think I understand a lot more about you as a journalist, about how you're able to connect with people so quickly because you were moving so much as a kid.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
Making new friends and new places, and I feel like I understand you as a person, but a lot more as a journalist.
I also like that the kitchen, thank you, Michelle, for saying that, but the kitchen is normally a place where the woman dominates. And what we realize is that everybody loves to be in the kitchen. And even today, I'm looking for a new apartment, and I said it has to have a kitchen that's eaten. I don't even cook.
It's where everybody gravitates
But everybody
towards.
gravitates.
Yeah.
How do you address that? That you think of the kitchen as a women's space, but it's so much more than that.
And more fathers are in the kitchen now.
Yes,
I
yeah.
love being in the kitchen.
And
That's
he can
great.
actually
That's
cook,
fantastic.
yes.
I'm married to someone who loves to be in the kitchen also. He's a great cook. Our whole family cooks. The stories are mainly about people's mothers, grandmothers, aunties, but, you know, the men in the picture do sometimes enter the kitchen.
Next season, you'll interview the men.
Oh, maybe it's Daddy's barbecue.
Ooh, okay,
When
Michele.
fire is involved, you know that. But the interesting thing about women in the title, I was worried a little bit about gendering this space.
Yes.
But the fact is that the kitchen is a gendered space, and women do most of the cooking in America. Even when both people work, it's usually the woman who's holding it down in the kitchen. But with people talking about their mothers, a lot of times they're talking about how the roles changed when feminism came along. But in some cases also, women who didn't have a lot of agency anywhere else in life were totally in control.
In control. It's so
Bravo,
true.
Michele. And when you're talking to Michele, you're just lulled by her voice. I said, I can just sit and listen to you talk about
Turns to a therapy session.
It really does. Michele Norris, thank you very much. It's called Your Mama's Kitchen. It's available now exclusively on Audible.